I'm trying to get some medicine. It's not fine.
Point.
Thank you.
Did you get the day off yesterday?
I did. I had a sick kid too.
Oh, well.
I had a sick kid since last Thursday. Is this supposed to be first reading?
Yeah, they'll add them all. Contract.
Set? Yes, sir. No time to hurry. The January 21st, 2020 meeting of the City Council of the City of Springfield, Illinois is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderwoman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi.
Here.
Alderman Proctor. Here. Alderwoman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMiniman.
Here.
Alderwoman Connolly.
Present.
Alderman Donnellan.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Langfelder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, a quorum is present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to allow Alderman Proctor to participate in the meeting by way of phone?
So moved.
Second.
The movement second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. The first item on the zoning agenda is docket number 2019-044 for the property located at 7200 and 7300 Woodland Trail. Petitioner is City of Springfield. Present zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.015, with a use variance and variances. Requested zoning relief, remove all the use variances and variances from this property in the R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.015. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. And second, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
And the agenda item passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2019-064 for the property located at 2300 South MacArthur Boulevard. Petitioner is Lonnie H. Maservi. Present zoning classification is B1 Highway Business Service District, Section 115.033. Requested zoning relief, a conditional permitted use pursuant to Sections 155.033C7. Conditional permitted uses in the B1 Highway Business Service District and 155.200 taverns, and a variance of Section 155.200A2 taverns to allow a tavern within 100 feet from the nearest lot on which there is a residence, church, school, park, community facility, or daycare. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval of the requested conditional permitted use with the following conditions. The proposed tavern is limited to approximately 480 square feet with no drive-up as described and shown in the petition and its exhibits. Number 2, no outside seating. Number 3, no live entertainment. And number 4, the hours of operation shall follow the city liquor license. Also approval of the requested zoning variance. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to allow the petitioner to make any comments and then to be followed by discussion by the council.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to allow discussion. Would the petitioner like to come forward?
Alex Rabin, 1119 South 6th Street, here on behalf of the petitioner. I do not have any other comments for now. I just want to thank Alderman McMiniman for being communicative, honest, and definitely thorough throughout. So that's it.
Any other discussion? Alderman Hanauer?
Is this going to be, this has to fall, I'm assuming there's gaming, so this will have to fall under the 60-40 rule?
Yes, sir.
What's the plans for, are you serving food or?
They are. They're going to have food. They're working with a food vendor, and I've also advised the owner of the ordinance and the business licensing office to discuss it with them as well.
Alderwoman DeSenso.
So the entire size of this is 480 square feet, or that the usable space for gaming?
Usable space for gaming on the south end of the building.
Okay.
Is a petitioner here?
They plan to be here,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure why they're not.
Any other? Just,
We're going to serve Turbo Fire pizza in the place, so.
You can come on up if you'd like.
I actually have menus of the.
if you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
My name's Brandon Boutot, B as in boy, O-U, T as in Tom, H-O-T. I own Turbo Fire Wholesale, and we plan on offering pizza. We already worked out a pizza oven that cooks the pizzas in about a minute, 10 seconds, and we have a full lineup of pizzas they're going to be offering, so they will be able to serve quite a bit of food.
Alderman McMiniman?
Do you know what your sales will be from the video gaming for a 12-month period?
Not at this time, Mr. Alderman. They don't have those projections at this time.
The layout for the site shows 480 feet. That included both space for the video gaming terminals as well as for serving food and drink. So it's 480 square feet, which is about the size of a large living room. So there's a concern there. I went back through the transcript for the discussion during the Springfield Zoning Commission itself, and there was no discussion at that time of the 60% requirement that a video gaming site has to have at least 60% from food and beverage. So that's a major concern. And we did pass an ordinance that requires audits. It's worded such that I believe it says that 30% of our video gaming facilities have to be audited each year. So theoretically, your facility could go 3 years without being audited, and you might not fall or meet the requirements for the 60/40. And there's also a concern that owners may, in order to meet the 60/40 test, just buy a bunch of pizzas themselves and that kind of activity. So we're really concerned about that and deviating from the real intention of the legislation that was passed by the General Assembly that really wanted the video gaming to be in traditional taverns and restaurants rather than parlors, for lack of a better word, for this type of operation. So that's the concern.
And thank you. And this is Donna Swaggerty. She'll announce her name and her address as well. I was just telling him that you were advised of the 60/40 rule, provided the ordinance, and given the contact information
Right.
for business and licensing.
So did you, okay.
That's it for now.
Yeah, I offered the menus.
Yeah, because that's hard, okay.
Alderwoman Turner?
I share the concerns that I've heard. I think that 480 square feet is extremely small when you're talking about serving alcohol, food, as well as having video gaming. I mean, that's an extremely small space. And I'm also concerned that a lot of people see video gaming as a panacea to making, money, and that, it's going to solve everything. And I think that you guys have all seen that I've had 3 businesses to approach me about doing video gaming in Ward 3, and I've said no to each one of them because I think that we are finding ourselves in a slippery slope situation where people are just kind of throwing up a business and then getting the gaming and thinking, I'm just going to make quick money off of it. So I'm concerned about the size of the location, and I'm also concerned the only food, 60% has to come from food and beverage, and the only thing that you're telling me you're going to be serving are pizzas. So I'm very concerned.
It's more than just pizza.
Yeah, go ahead, give me your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Donna Swaggerty, 21 Pine Drive, Sherman. We have kind of built a relationship with Turbo Fire. And right there at that location, there's lots of activity. So that's what we thought we would do that. And then even if we added gaming later, if we can't do that, at this time. But that space is, there's a lot of activity on that road right there.
And can I just comment on the space that it's certainly not a vast space by any means. The square footage we quoted was usable public floor space, not like, kitchens and closets and things like that. And certainly, I think a lot of businesses are scaling down in space. You can see it from tiny homes to taco trucks. It's more successful and sustainable. So that would be the one response I'd offer, Alderman Turner.
Alderman Donlin, then Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman McMenamin, this is in your ward, and I just wanted to ask, have you heard from either the neighborhood association or the business association in the area? Do they have a position on this particular?
There's been a change of in this case, it was 2 years. Michael Higgins was the president of the MacArthur Boulevard Association. There's Katie Davidson has taken over for him in the last month, and I did send her information about this petition, and she did not get back with me on it.
So they haven't weighed in yet? Okay. I'm just curious. Thank you.
I don't know what that means, whether it's positive or negative.
Thank you.
And I've also left several messages and no reply back.
Thank you, Mayor. What if we did this? What if we granted it with no video gaming for a year? And then at a year are we allowed to do that, Matt, or is there?
That would be a legal question.
Mr. Zirkle, is that something that we can do? That way we allow them to open the business, and if they can show that.
I believe that there can be a condition assigned vis-a-vis the zoning, or certainly on the licensing itself, because there have been other instances where, for example, a liquor license has been issued with certain conditions assigned to it. So there are a couple of different avenues that could be used if the thought was to put some type of a restriction on having gaming at that location.
Because at one point we looked at, when I brought that ordinance before, what part of it I had in there maybe, and I went ahead and I pulled it out. I can't remember why we pulled it out or whatever, but where there was we were going to wait a year from any new businesses before they're allowed to get gaming. And I think, if I recall, Mr. Zirkle, I was told that I wasn't sure whether we could do that or what, but from the zoning aspect, this might be a way to allow them to open the business, but they're going to have to prove that they can sustain without the gaming first, and then go from there. Just a possible solution. So,
I have a question for Matt. The conditional permitted uses with regards to the 100 feet, is that within a residence or one of the others? I didn't know if it's
within a residence. That's for the alcohol.
Alderwoman DeCenzo.
It's also, this borders right up against Ward 6. It's actually, I don't want to say closer to Ward 6, but but Franklin Middle School is right there as well. So we've had many instances of Franklin Middle School kids going and, buying their vapes down the street and things like, not that they're going to come in and gamble, because you would know, because they have a sweatshirt on that tells you where they came from. But I think it's just an area of concern.
Alderman Gregory.
So, I share some of the my fellows' concerns. So, are we planning on doing the currency exchange, video game, and the pizza, or is the currency exchange going away? I would think.
Good question. The currency exchange has been doing business in town for,
No, absolutely.
and they plan on remaining there.
So they plan on remaining there.
And there is going to be a pretty full menu. Yes.
So in the same, okay, help me understand. In one building that's 480 feet, you're going to have a currency exchange and what now?
And then the available space is the full 480 square feet is available.
But so, how does it explain the currency exchange? Explain.
There's 3 sections of the building. In the south section is open and vacant.
Okay, so I thought
We have the Cricket store up front.
I was confused. I thought you were saying you were going to have a currency exchange inside the.
And I don't know.
I dropped off drawings today. I actually think it's bigger than 480. Dave Stuckel.
Dave's here.
Oh.
I don't know if does he think. And I don't know if the council can entertain phasing in the number of terminals to start out with.
Yeah.
How many square feet did you think it was just? That's right. Okay.
Go ahead. Did you want to comment on the square footage?
No, 480. We're sticking with that.
And with regards to this building, is there shared space or is it all secured off?
All
So the
secured
currency, there's no common space between the currency exchange and the proposed video gaming area?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. There is no common space. They are sectioned off individually.
Alderman Redpath.
Alderman, would you want to hold this?
I'd be prepared to make a motion. Well, first of all, what I'd like to clarify is there'd be 3 activities in there. There'd be cricket and the currency exchange, and this would be a 3rd activity in what was formerly a fast food restaurant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to, before answering your question, Alderman Redpath, I'd like to add to what Alderman Turner said, that there have been other small or different kinds of requests along MacArthur Boulevard where I've given the same answer, that, the 60-40 is not going to make this a viable video gaming. And so I'd hate to, and I gave that advice early on to Attorney Rabin as well. I think we've got another one that's going to come up pretty soon along the same stretch, a small location that will ask for a liquor license and then bring in video gaming. So I'm going to make a motion to deny the petition, and if that fails on votes, then I'd like to offer the recommendation that Alderman Hanauer made to allow the liquor license to come in, but without video gaming for a year. So,
Alderwoman Turner.
So with the cricket and the currency exchange, that's kind of in and out business. People are coming in, they're buying a phone or they're paying this and they're leaving. But if you're going to add, but there are parking needs for those. And then if you're going to add a tavern and the video gaming, is the parking sufficient for that?
It is.
Yes, they just make it.
Just make it.
Yeah, it's tight, but they have enough for both.
Most of the currency customers are in and out within 8 to 10 minutes. And we also have a drive-through for them, which is 70% of that business.
Don't you think they're going to stay and spend some of that money?
That's okay.
You don't need a place to park.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, my concern is actually with the currency exchange in itself. I just not a firm believer in having video gaming next to currency exchange. I think it's a bad precedence, but that's my personal opinion.
I don't think the residents of State Street would be very.
Motion on the floor, Mayor.
Yeah.
Make a motion to deny the petition.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to deny the petition. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
A yes vote is to deny, correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
Yes to deny.
Thank you.
And the zoning request is denied, 9 voting yes, none voting no, and 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2019-065 for the property located at 3201 Horizon Drive. Petitioner is Ascend Illinois LLC. Present zoning classification is B1 Highway Service District, Section 155.033. Requested zoning relief, a conditional permitted use pursuant to Section 155.033C. Conditional permitted uses in the B1 Highway Business Service District for an adult use cannabis dispensing organization. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval of the requested CPU limited to the existing building footprint. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Committee recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. And second, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the zoning request passes 9 voting yes, none voting no, 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2019-066 for the property located at 628 East Adams Street. Petitioner is Ascend Illinois LLC. Present zoning classification is S3 Central Shopping District, Section 155.032. Requested zoning relief, a conditional permitted use pursuant to Section 155.032C. Conditional permitted uses in the S3 Central Shopping District for adult use cannabis dispensing organization and a variance of Section 155.497C. Special requirements for dispensing organizations parking. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the petition as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the petition as submitted. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman McMenamin?
On the previous zoning matter, that was for a location that had not yet opened.
Correct.
This petition is for a dispensary which was always medicinal and now has the additional adult use. The adult use began January 1st. So my question, just a procedural question, if this zoning is required, how did the adult use dispensary begin operations on January 1st?
Corporation Counsel, I think this request is regarding a lounge.
Correct.
If you give some explanation.
Just very briefly, the
That's the next one.
CPU to be able to have or operate for recreational use was not required for the downtown area because of the preceding rules that the city had adopted regarding both location and separation and so on. And there was an amendment to the that was adopted that excluded a CPU requirement. However, it maintained a CPU requirement for a on-site consumption, and that is what this relates to, is on-site consumption. But they may properly, under the current zoning, may properly operate and make recreational sales. However, this addresses the issue of being able to use on-site, because currently they cannot.
Isn't that the next ordinance, Mr. Counsel?
These should be for both. They relate to both.
So they have to have, I'm sorry. They have to have a variance for the parking to allow for the on-site consumption? Is that what we're doing?
Correct. And
We're just doing that as two separate
essentially that
ordinances?
there's the recreational sale is separate from the on-site consumption or requirement regarding parking and so on. So it seems somewhat complicated, but this relates to the ability to have the lounge or on-site consumption in conjunction with recreation.
Mr. Pavlik, if you'd like to come forward, state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Thomas Pavlik, Delano Law Offices, 1 Southeast Old State Capitol, 62701 on behalf of petitioner. 2019-66 relates only to 628 East Adams for recreation, adult use dispensary only. 2019-67 is for adult use consumption. At the time 2019-66 was submitted, the ordinance had not been yet amended to grandfather in the existing 628 space for adult use dispensary. Since we had paid the fee and filed the application, it seemed prudent to me and in discussions with staff to proceed with the petition as a belt and suspender move. So that is your answer. The petition is amended by this council previously allowed because of the grandfathered aspect of the medicinal use for Ascend to operate beginning January 1 for adult use dispensary. This is a belt and suspender. Again, it was filed before that ordinance was amended.
So I think you're saying that this is, technically this is an unnecessary zoning, but you went forward with it anyways, not knowing what changes might take place to our code in the meanwhile?
As a lawyer, I think it's necessary. I mean, that is my opinion.
Alderwoman Conley.
So this actually doesn't relate to the parking for an on-site consumption lounge?
No, this only relates to on-site
sales.
On-site dispensary. The next petition, 2019-067, relates to adult use consumption.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I'd simply ask that you accept the approval of staff and planning and zoning.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the zoning request passes 9 voting yes, none voting no, 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda is docket number 2019-067 for the property located at 620 and 628 East Adams Street. Petitioner is Ascend Illinois, LLC. Present zoning classification S3, Central Shopping District, Section 155.032. Requested zoning relief of conditional permitted use pursuant to Section 155.032C. Conditional permitted uses in the S3 Central Shopping District for an on-premise consumption area to consume cannabis in conjunction with the cannabis dispensary and a variance of Section 155.497C. Special requirements for dispensing organizations parking. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission staff recommendation is approval of the conditional permitted use limited to the on-site consumption area identified as 620 Adams on-premises consumption area in the petition and its exhibits, and approval of the requested variance. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning staff. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the petition as submitted.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the petition as submitted. Any discussion? Alderman McMenamin.
I've stated these views before, but just in general, I think we're moving too fast with recreational marijuana, statewide, and then, of course, within our city. I think the on-site usage creates a new and additional problem, especially particularly when it's smoking on site. I think, not to put Bruce Rushton on the spot, but he wrote an article that said that he went out and smoked as soon as he could on January 1, and he says, when you smoke marijuana, I'm just going to quote from Bruce Rushton, the high is immediate. It's not like the edibles where the high can come on over a period of time. So what we've got here, and I read through the discussion that took place at the Zoning Commission, and I believe there's going to be a 10 p.m. cutoff, but it's not in stone yet, so to speak. I'm worried about the change of the character of our downtown and putting at risk our downtown with the activity created by the on-site consumption and folks getting high and then drinking also, and what it will do to our historic district. So that's the reason for my no vote on this.
Any other discussion? Alderwoman Conley.
Well, I think I'd like to point out that, Alderman Hanauer brought up the issue of concern of people smoking in hotels. and we certainly have a fairly significant hotel presence right in this neighborhood. And I think having this lounge there gives people who want to smoke still, which I don't know how many people even do that anymore, but gives them an opportunity to consume what is a legal product in the state of Illinois.
Any other discussion? Alderwoman Turner?
I think that if you look at all of the rules and regulations as it relates to the consumption of recreational marijuana, it can become very restricted. You have to be 21, of course, but you cannot smoke around kids. It's up, if you are a renter, it's up to your landlord whether you can or cannot. If you live in public housing, you certainly cannot. So I think that having these on-site consumption lounges provides some safety for individuals who are 21 and over that want to consume a legal product. And I believe that people will be responsible, and they will react and act in the same way as when they go downtown to a bar. And if they feel like that they're going to consume too much, they'll have a designated driver, and just be responsible. I don't think we can legislate morality or people's intentions. We can only act in a responsible manner, and I think providing on-site consumption lounges is being very responsible and not putting individuals at risk when they are consuming a legal product.
Alderman Gregory?
I certainly agree that these locations are needed. I've said in the past that not only this one downtown, but it is my belief that we need to have them on in every part of our city west, to the north, to the east, and south, to prevent people from driving and the things that we don't want. We want them to be able to go somewhere safe and things of that nature. So, I fully support these, and I hope that going forth, we'll start with one here that we'll look for ways to add this responsibly, one by one, as we go forward.
Alderman Redpath?
Do you guys have security on site?
Yes.
And are you required to, Chris, have certain types of insurance for like dram shop type of situation?
Give me your name.
Yep, Chris Stone. I live at 1401 Williams Boulevard in Springfield, Illinois. Yes, we will have to have insurance in order to be able to deal with that. It's not called dram shop, but it'll be additional insurance that we carry.
You don't understand what I mean. The
Yep.
taverns have to have it. Do you guys plan to apply for video poker machines that are in there?
We do not.
Just thought I'd ask.
I do have a question operationally. I think the hotels, say someone's staying at one of the hotels, they come in and buy, I guess they could partake right there. Then can they come back the next day, or do you have to buy that day and that's what you get to partake in? Or how have you thought that through?
Actually, you don't have to partake. You don't have to use the product once you buy it. You can use a little bit of it in the lounge, and you can take the rest with you if you want to. And
But
you
can they come back
the next
in?
day.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know how that worked.
Yep, you can.
Any other discussion? Alderman Donlin?
Yeah, just a quick question. Mr. Stone, does the lounge have the filtration, some type of filtration system?
It will have a substantial filtration system, both UV and carbon filters, and the air handling system that we will build will actually vent up way above the ground floor in order to make sure that there's not a persistent smell coming out of the lounge.
Thank you.
Which is something that I wanted to ascertain as a neighbor of Ascend before I undertook this representation and asked for the zoning relief.
Alderman Gregory.
Just curious, what's capacity looking like in this place?
So what?
Capacity? What's capacity? How many people you think it can be in here?
This lounge is going to be probably bigger than what you'd think. It could be close to 9,000 square feet. So the capacity could be upwards of, 150 people, give or take?
We'll ask the fire chief that one once it's open.
The reason why we wanted to make it this big was to be able to accommodate for what Alderman Connolly had said with the hotel and tourism, to be able to use it. So
are you going to have, is it going to be just a dull place where you sit on a couch, or you going to have a little music, a little jazz playing? I just want to know. I'm just interested.
I think there could be music. I think there could be live music. I think there could be DJ. We have a movie theater, actually, in the back that will have playing movies. There'll be some different sections of the lounge.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Date night.
And the operations, whatever it's operated, it's going to have to be in compliance with all the other city codes anyway, so it's not like they get any special consideration.
That's right.
Alderwoman Conley?
I just have to ask, are you also going to be selling food on site, other than your edibles?
You know what? There's a contemplation to potentially do that. There's also contemplation to potentially put in a kitchen that allows people to buy the product inside the dispensary and actually be able to come and learn how to potentially infuse it,
So you'll be doing cooking classes?
potentially. So kind of like a Robert Seafood. Kind of.
Stone's Bakery. Any other discussion?
More discussion.
Oh,
I think you've identified, seriously a very additional problem, meaning that with 6,000 square feet and a hall, up to 150 individuals, potentially there's 150 people that are high at 10 o'clock when you close. And I know they're not all going to have designated drivers. And if they did have designated drivers in that room, there'll be what you call, passive inhalation contact high. So you're going to have 100 up to. Chief, are you here? You're going to have, you'll be monitoring 150 high individuals leaving the adult consumption area, getting out onto our streets. So I think that's a real concern, another reason why I'm going to vote no on this.
Well, how do we monitor 600 drunk people leaving downtown?
Yeah.
Chief, you care to answer that? You don't have to. It's actually,
not going to be passing the gummies.
I think this
Mr.
pointed
Stone.
out the challenges, but and again, it points out the economic side benefits with regards to it. So I think it's something challenge we'll have to take on and move forward and work out the best solutions
That's
with regards to that.
that's a good question that Alderman Turner asked. I mean, how do you monitor the drunken individuals? Well, we have dram shop liability, and bartenders are required to control consumption. And if they see anyone over abiding,
Doesn't happen, Joe.
Doesn't happen.
well, there's still a liability there if they fail to measure and they fail to take action. But with the smoking inhalation, like we said before, there's an immediate high, and folks don't know. People don't drink to get drunk always, right? They
do.
But you smoke marijuana to get high. I mean, that's the whole purpose behind it. So I think we got a new situation, a new problem here, and it just has to be stated because there's lots of folks out there that understand what I'm talking about.
Mayor?
I think the chief can make a comment if he'd like.
Yeah, not to belabor.
If I could just real quick,
Sure,
though.
Alderwoman Conley.
I would just like to address some of what was implied here. I've heard from a number of people very complimentary of the staff that you have currently at your dispensary, and my understanding is that these staff go through a fair amount of training. We have community colleges that are working to develop enhanced and increased training for staff at these facilities. This is not just your part-time job working, on college break. These are people who've been trained. I would assume that you're going to have access to taxi phone numbers, and people know what Uber and Lyft are these days. But having trained staff who understand people and can recognize people who should not be driving, I think this may actually be a safer place and a safer way for people to enjoy this product. So I think, yes, some people go to get high, some people go just to get a little buzz, and some people might go just to get the contact buzz for free and go watch a movie. I mean, this sounds like a creative way to safely enjoy something in our community, and I appreciate
Go get some
your
munchies.
thought.
Right?
I still think you should have at least popcorn. So anyway, but I would just like to say, but they're really doing training for these employees, and it's a decent paying job that, with the advent of this on-site consumption, we're talking about additional positions in town with people who are making a decent living and are trained and aware of what to look for in someone who may be having a problem, because there will be people who have problems, and it's good to know that your staff is I'm probably speaking for you, but that's my understanding with the reading I've done of the training that they're providing for these employees statewide is that this is not just a casual job. This is something you have to have information to do.
That's right. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Turner?
Not to belabor the point, but the hysteria since January 1 has been just over the top. I think that people are acting like January 1, everyone in Springfield just started getting high. They've been doing it for years and navigating the streets and all of that. So I think that what we're doing now is being very putting some responsibility and accountability around it.
Chief Winslow, if you'd like to comment. I know it's a state of flux because
The only thing I would say, obviously, that we know the law presents challenges for law enforcement and public safety as a whole. We have proactive patrols out every night. We will treat it just like we would any other business, whether it's a DUI, whether for alcohol or cannabis. We don't sit outside bars to target people who are leaving bars. We're not going to sit outside this gentleman's establishment to target people leaving. Obviously, we would like the same relationship we have with our local bars, that if they have somebody in there that they feel is impaired or intoxicated, they take the appropriate steps to get them home safely, just like you would do it for a friend at a bar, et cetera, a consumer there. So that's what we'll do. Again, we'll address it if an issue starts arising, starts seeing a pattern, then we'll address it as it comes up.
That's a good point. It closes at 10. How do you stay open till 11? Let people de-escalate, I guess?
I think that there's going to be a period of time where you obviously let people out, but you're going to have to find them rides, and we're working through the policies to make sure that we have good safety and security procedures, both when they come in as well as when they leave, to make sure that they're leaving. They're there in a safe area, in a safe place, and when they leave, they're getting home to a safe place, or they're getting to a hotel in a safe way in order to ensure that they're not going to endanger themselves.
Yeah, I didn't know if you stay open like bars, they'll stop serving at 1, stay open till 1:30. I didn't know if yours is 10 to 10:30.
The state's pretty stringent on this, so you know what?
Oh,
if we're closing, we have to close, and everybody has to be out by 10 o'clock. And understand that there's cameras, so the state will probably be monitoring that. It'll be tied to our camera system, so they can monitor that if they want to. And we want to make sure that we are providing a good model for what a lounge should be. For other municipalities and other lounges that may decide to enter the business in the future.
And you're subject to state inspection, right?
We are.
Great. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance as stated for approval, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the zoning ordinance passes 9 voting yes, none voting no, or I'm sorry, 1 voting no and none voting present. That concludes the zoning portion of our meeting.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Aldermen, Alderwomen, I'd just like to give staff a shout out. They've been wonderful to work with.
Yes.
So truly an asset to the city.
Thank
Appreciate it. Thank you. Alderman Hanauer.
I know we've got CWLP up for a presentation. Can we hold that till the end of? Can we vote on everything first and then have them come up? Or is there a way we can have them do it at their budget hearing?
This is more on their cash position than that, so.
Okay.
We'd rather give it tonight, but we can go through this.
The end of this one.
Yep. Well, that won't be. We'll just. We have to take a motion.
Do we need a motion, or
take
we
You can just go ahead if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead. Okay. This time, the chair will recognize Treasurer Busher for the presentation of the financial report.
Thank you very much, Mayor Langfelder. The corporate fund in the month of December had a beginning balance of $12,158,676. We had total receipts in the month of December of $9,651,852. We had total disbursements of $7,704,012, which left the corporate fund in the month of December with an ending balance of $14,106,516. This concludes my report, Mayor Langfelder.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the financial report? Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the January 7th, 2020 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this city council meeting. Been moved and second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this city council meeting. So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to remove agenda number 2020-016 from the consent agenda and return it to committee at the request of the applicant.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? You want to give a brief explanation, Counselor?
It is my understanding that the applicant for the license actually requested this be delayed 2 weeks. I'm not sure of the exact circumstances, so they asked that it be not acted on tonight, but sent back to committee.
Does 15 need it as well, Mayor? There's 15 and 16 that seem to correspond.
Correlate with regards to Boone Saloon?
Yeah.
Okay.
They would probably go hand in hand, be my guess.
Yes.
So we'll hold 2020-015 and 2020-016.
So moved.
Second.
Is that correct, Counselor?
Yes.
And moved and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage with the exception of agenda item 2020-015 and 2020-016. Been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the consent agenda passes, 9 voting yes, none voting no, and 1 voting present. Next item on the agenda number 2017-103, 2018-110, 2019-008, 2019-276, and 2019-430 remain tabled or in committee. Next item on the agenda is number 2020-022, an ordinance approving the appointment of Joseph Bonasinga as the Information Systems Division Director. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2020-022 on final passage.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open.
Alderman Proctor, how do you vote? Thank you.
And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no, none voting present. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2020-47, an ordinance accepting RFP number CV 20-25 with Sinclair Television of Illinois, LLC for the 2020 digital marketing campaign for an amount not to exceed $75,000 for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
So move.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2020-48, an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Sangamon County, Illinois Board of Health for animal control services for an amount not to exceed $249,068.47 from March 1st, 2019 through February 29th, 2020 for the Office of Budget Management.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed? Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda 2020-49, an ordinance authorizing an amendment to an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Sangamon County, Illinois Board of Health for Animal Control Services effective January 1st, 2020 through February 29th, 2020 for the Office of Budget Management.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Is there a typo on that one? I think it should be February 2021.
You're correct. February 2021.
And is there an amount on that? Is there a dollar amount on that?
Director, is there a dollar amount associated with that for Corporation Council?
Yeah, this would be just for a 2-month period. I believe this is an amendment to the original agreement. that covers just the,
January and February?
yes, that is
So it's
correct.
not 21?
Yes, that's
Oh,
the
it's for the
additional cost
additional
for,
cost.
yes.
Okay.
So there will be a follow-on, what we're going to try to do
Appropriation ordinance.
this time is typically, it's always been late in the year, as you see here. We'll try to, this coming year, try to do it earlier so it has, before the entire contract is up. You know, here we've got it, and I think that's been kind of historically what's happened. So the first is just the normal agreement. The second is the additional cost, I think, for call-out, I believe. So
correct,
that's the
Director?
amendment, right.
So, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Alderwoman Conley.
So for the call-out, are we talking about this is the increase for evening hours? Is that what we're looking at right here?
I think
Director
Bill,
McCarty?
The call-outs are for after hours. So if our police department were to call out the animal control, they would come out automatically. Right now, the way it works is they would have a discussion to find out whether or not it's prudent to call someone out or for someone to actually come. But my understanding is with this additional amount that they will come out if called no matter what. There's really not going to be much of a discussion. They'll just come.
Okay. And that's just for the 2 months, is that correct?
Yes.
They don't come when they're called now.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2020-50, an ordinance authorizing the sale of surplus real estate property commonly known as 2840 and 2860 at Ly Stevenson Drive in the amount of $315,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Alderwoman Turner.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, please.
Sure.
As would I.
Very good. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This time I'd like to call Doug Brown forward and give the presentation of the finances of CWLP.
Okay, we're going to do the third quarter financial presentation here. Just trying to keep it separate from the budget hearing, so the information is not really lost on anyone, especially for the public. So our cash position here for the electric fund is at 43.9 million days of cash, 90 days. Moody's days of cash is 111. And that includes the restricted environmental fund. Here you can see the cash by month for the last 3 fiscals in comparison. The electric fund days of cash since 2015 has steadily increased, which is very nice. Electric retail revenues, though, are pretty much flat, just a little increasing. Wholesale revenues, though, again, we've talked about that a little bit in the past here. That since our units, older units aren't competitive in the market, we're basically losing, quite a bit of runtime now, and our wholesale revenues are dropping, which that affects pilot as well. So it's 3.75% of revenues for all revenues for the pilot. Here's another look at the revenue for the last 2 fiscals in comparisons with this actual and for budget as well. For our expenses, though, for the electric side, we've been trying to control expenses, which has helped us build cash for that. And I'll get to the Moody's report on our overview of this here soon. So for expenses in comparison to the actuals compared to this year's budget, this is where we're at on a monthly basis. Debt service coverage is 2.14 if you exclude the pilot, and it's 1.89 if you include the pilot. And here is just the debt coverage ratio by month over the last few fiscals. And then here's a historical look on debt coverage ratio. And that's really a year in, so that's why we don't include FY20 because we're still in progress. And then our EIRF rebate fund, and you can see that we're at about $20 million right now for the environmental fund. So for water, we're at 7.1 million with days of cash 112. Again, Moody's is at 98. And then here you can see the cash by month. As well as the fund for days of cash for water. The interesting thing to note, I guess, is that in 2007, prior to 2017, there was basically a buildup of cash because not all the bond funds had been, I guess, issued yet. So what that meant is that the rate increases that occurred prior to that accumulated the cash position, and then we started spending that cash position ever since. And I guess one thing to kind of note is that we've controlled really our cash position in the water side by controlling expenses, even though our revenues are flat and have been somewhat declining in some instances. So by doing that, we're not investing in our infrastructure as much as we would like in order to keep our days of cash, up higher. So for water revenues, basically remain flat, and expenses, again, like I said, we're controlling them to be able to keep our cash position better. So here, again, revenue across the various months and comparing to last fiscal to this budget, as well as expenses. The debt coverage is 2.33, and then 2.05 after auxiliary services are included. Here's a picture of the pilot. The debt coverage ratio for when including after auxiliary services. And then the water fund debt coverage ratio history. And then our labor expenses for water and electric are under budget so far. So on to Moody's. It's interesting, I guess, that our recent review with them for the electric fund basically resulted in affirmation of the A3 rating with a stable outlook, and so that's really good news, I think, for the utility and for everyone. So basically, kind of out of the report that they showed us is that their view, I guess, of the outlook is basically a statement I want to read: is recently re-elected mayor and city council will continue to implement credit supportive actions to maintain sound financial metrics as the utility transitions a portion of its power supply mix over the next few years, despite continued regional economic pressure. So I think that just basically gives kudos to everyone here for continuing to make the right decisions for the utility.
Doug, excuse me, what does continued regional economic pressure refer to in that statement? I
think that is, they often refer to that as, one example, I guess, is the state jobs leaving puts pressure on, the shrinking offices, and the utility usage goes down, so revenues are less than from the state agencies and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
As well as our load declining, referencing that indirectly. So the next two slides are basically a summary of kind of the, I guess you say, an executive level look at it. And I can categorize this one into credit supportive action since 2015. And basically what they have is strengthening our rates has led to steady cash flows in light of declining load and basically our disappearing wholesale sales. Also that we have more than 90 days of cash on hand, our coverage ratio is higher. And actually it was, they referenced that the use of the Energy Authority for buying and selling our load and generation in the market is a credit positive. One of the other things with this is basically being exposed to the carbon risk could be improved as they see it. From retiring the older units that are uneconomic, it'll save a significant cost that could further improve our credit profile. And then the one thing I thought it was interesting to note is that basically they expect us to prudently manage the change in power supply mix, including the plant retirements, while maintaining sound financial metrics. So there's factors that could lead to an upgrade, and that's basically our cash position and debt service coverage ratios remaining above those levels. Managing changes to our power supply mix while reducing exposure to carbon transition risks. So what that means really is, stepping further away from fossil fuels. The utility continues to continues its enterprise, including implementing rate increases with limited political intervention. And then they usually note that in every review. And factors that could lead to a downgrade. So there's, the decline in the city's, basically the corporate fund rating could affect that because they're kind of linked together now with Moody's. And the cash position falling below 60 days and debt service coverage falling below 1.5. Elected officials do not demonstrate support for utilities' financial position or future budgets heavily relying on wholesale power market sales margins, as well as higher costs or increased leverage associated with changes to the power supply mix. All those factors could lead to a future downgrade. Questions?
Alderwoman Conley?
Thank you, Mayor. And Doug, thank you for the presentation. I just have a question about the factors that could lead to a downgrade. When you include wholesale power market sales margins, that's talking about our sales out, not us purchasing from the market. Is that correct?
Correct. That's referring to what we would sell into the market. And if we rely too heavily on wholesale sales, probably like we used to in the past, then that would be leading to a downgrade.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there any unfinished business come before the City Council? Just a reminder, Wednesday we do have, tomorrow budget hearings at 5:30 with the police, fire, and the library, and then also Thursday at 5:30 for City Water, Light, and Power, Human Resources, and Office of Budget Management. Those are both held here at the City Council chambers. Is there any new business? Alderwoman Turner?
So this is a question for Corporation Council. So it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes I am, once or twice. Therese, it's my understanding that on-site consumption must be associated with the dispensary, and it is only allowed in I-1 and S3. Is that correct?
Yeah, the on-site consumption under the city's zoning ordinances are associated only with dispensaries. So they could only exist where a dispensary exists.
Okay, but, right, I get that part, but I know that we, in the zoning ordinance, it specifies that dispensaries are allowable in B1, B2, I1, and S3.
Yes.
But it's my understanding that the on-site, that there's something in the zoning that the on-site is only allowed in I1 and S3, not B1 and B2.
I will have to check that to be sure. You're talking about, in other words, do they match up? And I will check that for you.
Okay. Okay, once you check.
Yes.
If they do not, would you please prepare an amendment to the ordinance that would allow the on-site consumption lounges in B1 and B2 so that it would be consistent?
Yes, I will look at that. If there's if they don't match up, then yes, we can prepare an ordinance.
Okay, that'd be great.
Alderwoman DeCenzo?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Next Tuesday, we are having a Bring Your Daughter to City Council night. So young men are also allowed, but we are trying to encourage the young women of the city to come and see what we do. And a fun time will be had by all.
Great.
Yes, you have to fly your daughter home.
At your expense.
Yes.
Alderwoman Conley.
I was just going to add, I hope, Mayor, that we get to see your daughter, Alderman Donlin.
We're working on it.
Yeah, that's tough sometimes.
She's probably at that age, she doesn't want to go anywhere with you.
No,
There is no age limit to the daughters that can come.
no age limit.
Any other discussion or new business? One thing, we are having a public forum for CWLP next Wednesday at 5:30 in the council chambers for the discussion of Dolman 33. So that'd be January 29th. Any other?
I have a question about that, Mayor.
Sure, Alderwoman
So
Conley.
just to clarify, since it's a public forum, is there a limit on how many council members can attend?
No.
Since there's 48 hours notice.
Yeah, it'll be posted in a normal fashion.
Okay.
But it is not a council or committee meeting, it's a forum.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? We do have one person signed up to speak, Marlon Beard.
It'll be televised, correct?
Yes, if you come forward and state your name and address for the council. Will that be televised?
Yeah.
Public
Yeah.
forum? Yes or no? Yeah, we're going to try our best to have it televised.
I'm Marlene Beard from 3709 West Isles, and I do believe that my issue was covered in those multiple.
Last week.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to thank you all for your time and appreciate your support.
Great.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Anybody else wish to address the city council? Is there a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're adjourned.
We'll see you, Alderman Proctor.
Thank you.
Now,
Yeah.
All boys in my house. Yeah, we got mailed all.